Hey.
Nelson's back in our hands.
You a merc? Because you don't look like a prospector. Hell yes, ma'am. Well, not officially. Not anymore. They mustered me out a year ago. Administrative discharge. Staff Sergeant, 3rd Platoon Bravo Company. I was at the dam when the Legion hit us 3 years back. That was a shitstorm, and don't let anybody tell you different. The brass tried to play it down, but most of them were back at McCarran. I didn't. My CO ordered me to flog a couple deserters, and I told him to eat shit. So they kicked me out for insubordination. Those kids didn't desert. They just got liquored up on the strip and missed roll call. I don't know what else the brass expects. Half these kids don't get more than 2 weeks of training before they ship them out here. Going home didn't feel right. Not with those savages camped on the other side of the river sharpening their knives. And I still get to see my old platoon when they pass through here. Make sure the new CO is treating them right, and sneak them extra ammo. Anyway, I was always complaining about the standard issue gear. The new kids don't even get body armor. Can you believe that? So I hooked up with a couple other vets. Bribed a gun runner. Now we're supplying grunts, mercs, and anybody else on our side. We don't make much, but at least we're saving lives. Vegas is bleeding us dry. We're tossing caps at 100 different problems, while Caesar bides his time and lets us wear ourselves out. This war is gonna bankrupt the NCR unless we finish off the Legion fast and dirty. We shouldn't be perched up at the dam. We ought to be crossing the Colorado and sticking a boot up Caesar's ass. Sure, no problem.
ma'am. I hope you're doing fine today. I don't have a mama or papa anymore. I see them sometimes when I take off my medicine, but they can't stay. I'm pretty used to being on my own. Oh, I don't sell things, ma'am. I sell thoughts. I can take off my medicine and do some thinking. People say it's real interesting. I don't know, because I never hear it. Some people say that it's a gift. Other people say it's the kind of thinking anyone could do if they watched more than they talked. I don't know which is true. I see a lot. I think a lot. There's a lot to hear through the 188, too. That maybe accounts for the thinking. This thing on my head is headache medicine. It works real good, except I can't think when it's on. Really think, I mean. That's not junk. That's other people's thoughts. People had to think to make them, and the thoughts got stuck inside. I need other people's thoughts to fill my head when I'm not thinking myself. Otherwise, it's kind of empty. That's all right, ma'am. You will someday. Thinking hurts you, too? Aw, I wish I could let you have the one on my head, but I can't. It hurts real bad when I don't wear it. So long.
Is there some reason I should be talking to you? Like you have a clue what that even means. Am I selling? Yeah. Am I selling to you? No. Sorry to hurt your feelings, but you're small time. Move along. You might be onto something. I'd like to hang on to any weapons mods I run across. Take a look. Another satisfied? The gun runners have been putting rapid-fire death dealing in the hands of anyone who needed to defend himself for over a century. We're the NCR's #1 supplier of weapons and ammunition. You might call us an unofficial branch of the Army. I'm a salesman. I swing through McCarran and the Dam once a week or so to take orders. But lately, I spend most of my time in this piss heap. Ever since the 15 shut down, all caravans come through here, right to me. I check the stock and direct deliveries onward to meet orders. Sure, it stinks to hang out here, but it won't be forever. Plus, I can afford a monthly bender on the Strip and still build up my nest egg. There's usually a gun merchant hanging around topside. I'm sure she'll take care of you. Not much to tell. A Brahmin or two loaded up with weapons, and a whole mess of well-armed guards to make sure it ends up where it's supposed to. One nifty bit, though. The gun cases are rigged to explode, so trying to loot one of our caravans doesn't do much good. And that's how the NCR stays equipped. The only thing we don't bring in is energy weapons. We used to, but every caravan carrying them was getting ambushed and wiped out by someone sophisticated enough to know which was which. We think it was the Brotherhood of Steel. Those crazies always go hard for energy weapons. But the NCR would rather pretend they killed all of them. Still making a nuisance of yourself? You like it any better if I tell you to fuck off? Still making a nuisance? Hello. Hello.
Fine by me. Fine by me. What is it? All right. Guess I'll be your...
Couldn't get enough of talking to me the first... I know, but I had to know how you react when I told you. We have made a lot of enemies. You still okay bringing me along? I'm great at punching people. I'm not gonna lie. It's a gift. Well, thanks for taking a chance on a naive young girl from California with stars in her eyes and a pneumatic gauntlet on her hand. Let's hit the road, huh? Ooh, got something good for me? Is it a dress? What's up? Am I punching? My recommendation? More punching. It pays like ass, but it's hard to get other work with my skill set. What do you want to know? Good question. These days, it's hard to say. Once upon a time, it was about technology, controlling it so it couldn't destroy us again. Energy weapons and power armor are usually tops on our list, although I appreciate anything that's vintage. But that all seems so limited now. We haven't grown or adapted, and now we're stuck in a hole, not carrying out our mission. More sexual favors than I can even count. I am still tired from it. No, actually, you're born into it. My parents, their parents, so on. When you're young, you can choose to leave, but it's home, so most people don't. We don't take on new members, really. You can do the math on our long-term prospects based on that point. I keep hoping we'll change that. I'm a procurement specialist. Like I said, it's basically grocery shopping, except sometimes the groceries are scavenged parts and arcane technology. The elder who brought us to the Mojave, Father Elijah, usually had me looking for these old memory units, but he'd never tell me what they were for. Nowadays, I'm usually sent to do business with traders at places like the 188, but sometimes I think it's just to keep me out of everyone's hair. I know sometimes I sound like I don't, I know, but there's something that still rings true to me about our code. There's an honor to it. We're protecting people, even if it's from themselves. It's a good cause. We just lose sight of the big picture sometimes, treat all our practices with the same sacredness. Ah, the Codex. If it's in there, we have to abide it. If it's not not important. It documents our history, too. Part of what scribes like me do is update it. I wonder... Nah, they'd probably catch it if I rewrote the Founder's axioms. No. We only protect people from themselves, and only in the sense that we don't let them have the really good pre-war toys. And sometimes it's more like we protect ourselves from them and hope to outlive them and become humanity's sole heirs. We've had people go rogue, though, and start helping people. One chapter had a small civil war over it. We take our isolationism seriously. He was our elder when we came east. A wizard with technology, really. His mind just worked that way, naturally. I learned a lot from him. But he started having disagreements with the other elders. The Brotherhood's interest is in old technology. He wanted to explore developing new tech. And there were other ways he wanted to push, other weapons, ones with ethics questions attached. Rather than deal with him, they sent him east. Darn it! I had some spectacular... This better not... Yep, it's your typical city layout. Rich people in a gated community surrounded by extreme poverty. House gave the area around the strip to the locals, but he has no interest in it, so he ignores it entirely. It just needs new management. I'd love to see the Brotherhood do it, but since the Codex doesn't say clean up Freeside, no one listens to me. Bunch of sticklers. Well, when two people really love each other, you really don't know this stuff yet? I'm worried they'll be the death of the Brotherhood. They take what they want. We defend our interests to the death. But there's a handful of us and tens or hundreds of thousands of them. so it's not going to end well. Last time we clashed, we lost a lot of people. Retreated to our bunker. Now we're afraid to even move around during the day. Ooh, do I get a prize if I answer right? Silliest dressed band of raping, slaving marauders you'll see east of California. I'll say that. Where's that touch of old world class? Although, I hear the soldiers mount each other as much as they mount their women, so maybe they did keep a little something from the Empire. No such privilege for the women, though. Figures. So, to answer your question, they're a bunch of hypocritical jerkwads. It's a word. I like long walks in the desert and candlelit metal workshops. I like punching things, but sometimes shooting things just has to do. Yeah, I've been taking things apart and putting them back together since before I said my first word. You want to build something? Talk to me, and we can do it right there on the spot. Workbenches are for novices. Who knows? I might even be able to show you a Brotherhood trick or two. I want a dress. Yeah, a good one. Something elegant and classy, you know? But still stylish. Something that's eye-catching and sexy, but also says, don't fuck with me. I keep hoping I'll come across some old-world designer gown when I'm scavenging, but it never happens. Maybe I should move back to California. Hey, you try getting a date wearing scribe robes. Might as well be wearing sweatpants. I just like them, you know? They make you feel like a woman. Those ladies before the war, they knew what they were doing. Can I make it up? I would say he was my tutor, but that doesn't cover it. After my parents passed, he looked after me. The whole Brotherhood brought me up, really, but he made sure of it. I never had a grandfather, not that I knew anyway, but Elijah was in some ways what I'd imagine a grandfather to be. It was by his request, actually. He cleared it with the other elders. Somehow. They sent him to look into the dam. There was a time when I'd have begged to follow. Watch him at work. He did. For years, he fought with the council. Taught me to question our direction. Meanwhile, he'd become more out of touch than all of them. On our way east, he demanded we stop at Helios 1 to examine it. While we were there, we received word that the NCR had taken the dam. He was furious. Called it children playing with a bomb, but he was mad because we'd lost its power. What we'd use it for. He didn't even care. They're cautious. When they discover something, they respect it, learn its limits, consider how to preserve it. Used to drive Father Elijah crazy. He liked to learn limits too, but only so he could push them. That's not to excuse the other elders, though. They all covet technology for its own sake. Some are just more fanatical than others. Yeah, I did. I couldn't help him. He just didn't listen, and the idea that people talk back to him... If he could have made the Brotherhood act like machines, ordering them around with the push of a button, he would have. Elijah could look at an old device and immediately understand what made it work. And he could see its potential, where it fit with other technology. It's not something he could teach, but he tried with me. Some of it stuck. But that's what he taught me. You ask what I learned from him. I learned what I don't want to become. In the end, there was just him and his vision. Nothing and no one else. Yeah, I miss him. Like what? I don't know. Last time anyone saw him was in the battle at Helios 1. I wasn't there. He gave orders to hold the plant until it could be reactivated, but he ran out of time. The NCR overran it. Everyone thought he was dead. But I got a note from him at a comm station. That's how he liked to talk, even to me. He wasn't good at face-to-face. It was strange, even for Father Elijah. He's always been unstable, but this was something else. I don't want to say delusional, but I don't know what else to call it. The only thing familiar about it was the signature. He said the Brotherhood was doomed, but that he'd return, save us. But the way he said it, I don't know. Said he'd return with one of the greatest treasures of the old world, make the Mojave like it was meant to be. Wipe the slate clean. Just my parents, but they haven't been around for a long time. Dad was a paladin, Mom was a scribe. They died in the same battle, trying to hold off the NCR from something. I don't remember what it was. Guess it seemed important at the time. Ever been nosy? I was, once. We were pretty young, but I like to think it was love. She left the Brotherhood. Wanted to put some distance between herself and her parents. Since our membership isn't open to outsiders, some members think that obligates all of us to procreate. You can guess which camp her parents belong to. No, couldn't bring myself to leave everyone else behind. Couldn't convince her to stay either. I'd hoped love would be enough to influence her decision, but it wasn't. We were both too stubborn. I don't know where she is now, but I'm sure she's moved on. I still think about her, though, once in a while. If you take trying to keep me as far away from Hidden Valley as possible because I ask too many difficult questions as a sign of respect, oh yeah. That's not to say I don't get along with them. I just think they don't know what to do with me sometimes. Like what? Nowhere specific. I just know there are a lot of groups who are actually doing well for themselves out here. I want to understand how and why. See them at work. You did? Where? Oh my god, I mean, I thought... I don't even know what I thought might have happened to him. But... you don't have a "this is good news" expression on your face. You killed him? But it doesn't matter. He died when we all retreated to Hidden Valley. I didn't expect to see him again. No one did. Did he say anything when you met him? Anything at all? Where did you get this? Guess I was right about the bad news, huh? Same look Elder McNamara always gave me when I was up for promotion. All right, I'll watch it. That was hard to watch. The parts I understood didn't matter. Past all the garbage, all it amounted to was goodbye. Sorry, feel a little out of it. Head's spinning a bit. Oh. I think he left me a gift. Maybe I can use it better than he did. Step into my office. Step into my office. See you around.
Evening. Back for more?
Uh-oh.
Hey, this post isn't someplace a civilian ought to be. Just the usual. Legion scouts try to slip across the river a couple of times a week, but they always end up floating downriver with holes in their heads. Ranger Station Alpha. Ranger Lineholm is in command here. I'm not really much of a historian. The short version is that the Rangers are the elite of the NCR military. Best fighters in the wasteland. All right. She radioed ahead and mentioned that somebody was coming by. Odd that she'd send a civilian instead of a trooper, though.
This is a military outpost. Why are you here? Have you ever heard the story of the bomber that crashed into the lake before the war? Supposedly it's mostly intact, even after all that time. Ranger Station Alpha used to be the frontline outpost for NCR. When we moved onto the dam, this station has fallen into more a support role. For about 10 years now. Toughest training I've ever done, and was the proudest day of my life when I got my Ranger badge. Did you know that the first battle at Hoover Dam was won because of the Rangers? Legion had the numbers, but we had the skill. We won't go quietly. The Legion can count on that.
You here to pay your respects too? It commemorates the Battle of Hoover Dam. The Rangers lured the best of Caesar's Legion into Boulder City, then blew the whole town up. The NCR still lost a bunch of troops in the fighting, though. My older brother sacrificed himself, so they could evacuate some of the wounded. Don't worry about it. Camp McCarran, but I'm on leave at the moment, heading back to California to see my folks. I'm supposed to join up with a caravan that's heading that way up at the 188, but they're not due to arrive for a while yet.
A customer. Not many people come into Boulder City these days. Most of the town is rubble, destroyed during the Battle of Hoover Dam. And the only other thing around here is the concrete mixing yard. The NCR has been constructing bunkers up and down the river. From what I've heard, it's a little late for that. Travelers over at the 188, just up the road, said that the Legion has overrun a couple of towns to the south. Most of the limestone comes from Quarry Junction out west, but I hear some death claws overran the quarry. With no work to be had, all the workers around here have wandered off. I'm the only one left in town. What can I get you? Pleasure doing business with you. Hey.
You're making me carry the heavy stuff, aren't you?
We've got a situation with some great cons right now. The brass at McCarran has ordered me to lock down the ruins until it's been resolved. One of my patrols was on its way back from Novak when it came under fire from the Great Khans. They radioed for reinforcements, but instead of waiting for us, they chased the Khans into the ruins where they were caught in a crossfire. No deaths, but not all the squad got out. The Khans have Private Ackerman and Private Gilbert as hostages. Normally I'd turn you down since I have no idea who you are. But considering that the hostages are as good as dead when we attack... Alright, I'm going to give you a chance to talk to the Great Khans. Their leader is a man named Jessup. If we hear shooting, we'll be coming in. But it'll probably be too late for you. Good luck.
Buffalo?
Hell of a battle at Nelson. I'm impressed our troops survived. Not much to tell, really. I grew up in New Reno, joined up, took my shot at being a ranger, didn't make it, so I'm stuck with this crew of jokers. Gee, I don't know. Maybe because I'm saddled with the worst damn unit in the NCR Army. Think that might have something to do with it? Yeah. I mean, no. They're okay people, but they don't care, you know? They don't have any ambition, no drive. They're slacking off, and that reflects badly on me. Please. Camp Golf is where they shuffle off anybody they don't want anymore. Assignment here is a career ender. Easy. This is where they send all the fuck-ups and people they don't want. But hey, it's not like I'm bitter or anything. I guess I wanted to make something of myself, you know? Be the best of the best. I wanted to be a... Guess this is as close as I get.
What you want, Holmes? We don't talk too much, mostly. Poindexter's a smart-ass prick. Well, Hanrahan's a big pussy, ain't good for shit in a fight. And Mags? Well, Mags is cut out for something other than soldiering, you dig? Whatever. Not like I need any of them. I do just fine on my own. Ain't much to tell. Grew up out west, in the Boneyard. Heard of it? Yeah, not many people have. Wasn't really a good place for kids, you know? I joined up to get out. My family's still back there. What do you want to know? Whole place used to be some kind of rich bastard resort back before the war. Now the Rangers use the old resort and we grunts get to live in tents. Fucking typical. Shit, honey, it was this or the Fiends. The Fiends don't last too long in the NCR. At least this way, the badasses with the top shelf guns are on my side.
Howdy, great to see you. I ain't scared. I just don't like hurting folks is all. Ma always used to tell me, boy, you're the biggest and the strongest, so you mind yourself. Every day she told me that. Guess I done took it to heart. They're mostly pretty nice. Poindexter showed me how to make fireworks. Raz kind of scares me sometimes, but I don't mind. He's had a hard life. Well, I was born on a farm out in California. Weren't much. Me, Ma, and Pa, my two sisters, and about 40 acres of corn and Brahmin. Didn't ever have no problems, really, except for some lean years. Then I joined up and got shipped out here to New Vegas. Oh, it's a fine place. The lake is real pretty, and we don't get bothered much by them Legion fellers. Well, as it turns out, we had a string of bad harvests a few years back. Pa said he couldn't afford to feed but 3 youngins or we'd starve. As the biggest one, it was my job to go join the army so as my sisters could eat and so as we wouldn't all be killed by raiders and Jesus would love us. It's all right, I guess. I don't like all the fighting we gotta do, though.
Hey.
I'm assuming you aren't associated with the Army or the Rangers. What can I do for you? In a strictly official capacity, no. However, as I am by far the most intelligent and resourceful figure on this base, I feel it's safe to say the soldiers here look up to me. I suppose if you must stick with your narrow, parochial view of in charge, then yes, it's a no. Are we done? To what purpose? It's highly unlikely you'd understand anything I'd say. Suffice to say, I'm a certified genius, and when I'm discharged from this pit of testosterone and failure, I'll have all the money I could ever need. It's a simple idea. The Army offers fiscal security and generous benefits at the cost of substantial personal risk, if you're on the front line. If you perform too poorly, they'll scrub you out. Perform too well, and you get sent to the front lines. All I have to do is ride that mediocrity gradient to a cushy, do-nothing job miles away from the war.
Oh, hell. What is it now? I've been here since the first push into Vegas. Back in the day, this camp was the hotspot for conflicts with the Legion, Raider tribes, you name it. These days, I spend most of my time trying to beat a little discipline into the soldiers under my command. I've gotten soft with no action. Yeah, well, somebody has to wrangle those washouts and losers. Somebody's got to turn them into a real fighting force. Disappointed. We call them the Misfits for a reason. They're undisciplined, lazy, and they have absolutely no esprit de corps. The squad leader's got some promise, kid named Mags. But as for the rest, I don't see much hope. I'm going to make them shape up if it kills me, though. Or them, for that matter. You're welcome to try. Hell, maybe they'll listen to somebody they don't see as an authority figure. Man, it's my life. I joined up when I was 16. I don't know how to do anything else. Yeah, well, I didn't want to get promoted out of the field. I didn't join up to drive a desk.
Hey, friend, need something? You gotta be kidding me. You're fine. This is just a ploy to get a free sucker, isn't it? No, sorry, we're totally unprepared to deal with radiation sickness. Just kidding, of course I can. This might tickle a little, or it might cause searing, agonizing pain to shoot through your body. You never know. Hey, friend, need something? Here's what I got. Give me a shot if you need anything.
Howdy, great to see you. To me? I'll tell you what I think this squad needs. A little more basic human niceness. That's right. Folks just don't talk to other folks. And everybody's always cross with each other. That'd be swell. Only if they knew the idea came from me, they probably wouldn't take you serious no more. So maybe you ought to think about it first. And I sure hope you're more convincing than I am, or they ain't gonna listen. Okay.
Hey,
You've done an And what do you propose? An intriguing proposition. Company readiness reports are logged on the computer systems at the resort. If you hack the system, you could alter our records. Such an attempt, however, is likely to thwart efforts to motivate the squad to do actual work. If such is your goal, you should look elsewhere.
glad to see you haven't gotten yourself killed yet. Yeah, what about it? I told you we need marksmanship and explosive handling improvements. Are you sure? I've got enough clout to get them started, but these guys are pretty lazy. I doubt they'll want to be pulled in different directions. You're the boss.
Nice job out there.
When I got this assignment, I was hoping there'd be more gambling.
We won't go quietly.
Glad you're with us.
Agent.
Okay, everybody's lined up and ready to go. Any suggestions? You heard the lady, people. Get focused. I've got the one at 11 o'clock. Raz, O'Hanrahan, take the two on the right. Poindexter, the center. Right. Exhale, squeeze. Focus on the shot. Thanks for the help. I think the whole unit's doing a lot better now.
Glad you're with us.
Glad to see you haven't gotten yourself killed yet. It helped, but we still got a grenade range inspection to pass. After the help you gave us at the shooting range, we'll take any advice you've got. I'll line them up. Okay, we've got our dummy grenades and the course is live. We're all set. Right, easy enough. 1, 2, 3. Solid arc. Check. Lob them up and over, people. Hold the grenades for groups, squad. Hit them in clusters and send them running. Yeah, I do. Thanks. I think we might survive this now. Glad to see you haven't gotten yourself killed yet. Thanks to you, I think we're in good shape. The squad seems to be functioning much better as a unit now. Nelson's back in our hands. Hope we can defend it this time.
Okay, I admit it. Knowing how to
Thanks
use
for
these
your help.
guns right is
I
pretty
feel like we
cool.
can take on the world.
I gotta admit, I'm impressed. The Misfits are drilling better than I ever expected. Hey. Looks like we booted the Legion out of Nelson. About damn time.
Back west, you don't see too many of these. Lakes, I mean. Natural or man-made. Any kind, really. We neglected the dams or pumped all the water out a long time ago. Owens, Isabella, the San Luis. Drained the aquifers of everything they had. Just a lot of mud and dust now. It's a different feeling watching the sun come up over the water. Takes some getting used to. But if you're here long enough, it starts to seem normal. That's what a ranger's life is now, looking east. You must be the courier folks have been talking about. Word on the radio is that someone wronged you back in Good Springs. The Mojave has a way of burning decent people up, but it sounds like you've done right by the NCR. It's appreciated. Now what can I do for you? I didn't realize you were in such a hurry. I get so used to sitting in this chair and listening to radio reports, sometimes I forget people are getting ready for war out there. Shoot. The best of the best, worst of the worst. He came out of NCR, one of the followers of the apocalypse. Like a lot of the followers, he went out in the wilderness with a partner to try to help those who needed helping. Not much different from how the Rangers used to be, except with books and medicine instead of guns. Out to the Grand Canyon, he met a missionary from Utah, a man by the name of Joshua Graham. Graham helped translate for the followers and the tribes. All three of them got nabbed by the Blackfoots down there, back when they were still at war with every other tribe in the Southwest. Somewhere along the way, he realized he needed to educate the Blackfoots or they were going to get wiped out with the rest of the tribe. Showed them how to use guns, how to make explosives. Once he taught the Blackfoots a thing or two, they needed him. And he no longer needed the followers, NCR, or anyone else. He decided he could remake the tribes of the Southwest whether they wanted it or not. He became Caesar, and Joshua Graham became his legate, his right hand. And that's where Graham stayed until Hoover Dam. Losing the dam was the worst defeat the Legion ever suffered. Graham had been with Caesar since the beginning, but he had to set an example. The Praetorians covered Graham in pitch, lit him on fire, and down into the Grand Canyon he went. It's not that clear-cut. You have to understand, Graham was the toughest son of a gun anyone around these parts had ever seen. Before Hoover, we had 5 kill reports on Graham from Rangers and 1st Recon sharpshooters who tried to take him out. Some folks think he's still alive. Call him the Burned Man. Yes and no. The Blackfoots don't exist anymore. Just like any other tribe that gets swallowed by the Legion. Caesar takes the tribal out of the tribe. Scrapes and burns off tattoos, breaks up families, forces mixed breeding so all the old loyalties die away. The only tribe in the Legion is the Legion. Caesar is their chief, father, and God, all rolled into one. Shoot. It's no secret we've had better campaigns. Holding this whole length of river isn't easy. We're stretched thin and the long 15 just keeps getting longer. Slow to get supplies, slower to get reinforcements. NCR's Senate has got funds tied up at the boneyard. And President Kimball ordered our most experienced rangers to chase ghosts down in Baja. Senate elections are coming up. Local representatives don't want to push any more funding to the Mojave campaign because it's unpopular. Most of the folks around the boneyard haven't been to New Vegas and probably never will. All they know is that their money gets sucked away to this desert and their brothers, sisters, sons, and daughters die here. It's complicated. Goes way back. I told President Kimball that we need more rangers here. He accepted that, but took the most experienced ones and sent them south. Patrol rangers are good men and women, but we're about to fight a war. You've seen it yourself. Some of them don't even have proper service rifles or armor. Our heavy infantry, power armor units, they're back in NCR territory protecting the interests of Brahmin barons against small-time raiders. Brahmin barons only have one vote at the ballot box, but they have a lot of money to throw around. Shoot. Not too long ago, they took Nelson and Searchlight. They got some camps on the eastern shore of the Colorado, and the monstrosity on the hill across the lake, that's for Caesar. Some folks don't believe he's here yet, but you can tell. He's the eye of the storm. It all roils and spins around him. You don't have to see the man to see the effect he has. Nelson was barely set up. We had a big stretch of unprotected land between Forlorn Hope and Searchlight, and Nelson was the solution. A deaconess named Dead Sea took the place and caused a lot of damage. By the way, I appreciate what you did for the troopers down there. Nelson might not be the most strategically important place, but taking Dead Sea out means a lot to them. Searchlight was worse. One of Caesar's Frumentari must have found something in there, flooded the whole camp with radiation. Shoot. I could tell you a lot if you had the time, but at my age, I'm not sure which of us would get tired first. What do you want to know? Suppose it depends on what you think's good. Most folks want to hear about Hoover Dam and Boulder City, but it's a long story. If you want some tall tales about hunting down slavers or busting up gangs, talk to one of the younger rangers. It's kind of a long one, but all right. About 25 years ago, a group of NCR settlers pushed way south into Baja. I guess it doesn't seem so far now if you look at a map, but back then they were out of ways. They built this little shanty town around a well in the middle of nowhere. Called it Rattletail. Word got back to one of our stations that raiders had been attacking the place. I went out with 6 rangers. We must have been on the trail for a week before we got to Rattletail. We lost one woman to night stalkers and another almost died of dehydration. When we reached the place, it's 6 shacks set up around an old well. There's over 24 bodies lying in the dunes way outside of town, and 5 men with .308 rifles crouched behind sandbags. And these bodies, these people out in the sand, they aren't raiders, aren't even heavily armed. They're just people who were trying to get to the only well in 50 miles. I didn't have to talk to the men to see that they did not care one bit. They had planted an NCR flag over the well. They would not budge until every last one of them was laid out dead and cold. So I walked up and told them there was a group of raiders coming, 100 strong. I made up some cockamamie name for them and everything. The men looked at each other, looked at us, and asked me what we were going to do about it. I told them we would take them back into NCR territory because we'd already lost 10 rangers on the way out. 10 rangers, 5 men with .308 rifles. Well, that was enough for them. They packed up what they could and we took them back north. Last I heard, they settled somewhere in Anza Borrego. Raised bighorners. Had some tough times, but it worked out okay for them. So there you go. That's my one bit of good. In big battles, Caesar deploys his legionaries in waves. Recruits up front, prime soldiers behind the recruits, old guard bringing up the rear. Opponents wear themselves out dealing with the first 2 waves, if they survive that long. When the veterans step up, there's not much fight left. Caesar can adapt, though, and when required, he can run any mix of legionaries as skirmishers and still retain order in the ranks. Joshua Graham, Caesar's old legate, he wasn't so flexible. When the Legion attacked Hoover Dam, General Oliver ordered his troopers back to the middle ground just after first contact. Graham pushed all of the legionaries onto the dam, filling the east side with recruits up front and veterans in the back, by the book. But once they were in, they were stuck there. Oliver's troopers were entrenched and wouldn't give a foot. That's when we ordered the Rangers and the 1st Recon sharpshooters to start picking off veteran Legion officers from a high ridge west of the dam. That only lasted about a minute before Graham ordered the back ranks to push through to the front and rush the ridge. Caused total chaos among the younger legionaries. Oliver's troopers fell back to the side walkways and stayed out of the veterans' way. By the time the veterans got to the ridge, we were already in Boulder City. They followed us down there, but we were out before they realized what was happening. We had packed the old city with C4 and dynamite. Crude, but it did the job. Those who didn't die in the blast were in no position to mount a defense. The ones left on the dam didn't know what to do. The troopers routed them. Graham pulled the remaining legionaries back, but the battle was over. He went south, back to the Grand Canyon, back to Caesar. And that was the last we saw or heard from Joshua Graham. Shoot. Folks around here call me the chief, but Hanlon's just fine. The Rangers run themselves pretty well, but I try to lend a hand. Mostly administrative work, helping coordinate intel on the radio. That and keeping an eye on the fires growing across the water. It's a simple system when it works. Patrol Rangers radio intel to ranger stations. Comm Rangers send the intel up the station chain until it reaches Camp Gulf. Then I or one of the other Rangers on duty organize the data, evaluate it, and send information to camps or troopers in the field. Comm Rangers might have an incomplete picture of the situation. There's a lot going on out there. Intel needs to be coordinated through Gulf so we can verify and advise appropriately. Troopers have enough to deal with. We don't want them questioning their intel. Oh, well, I guess it must be coming up on 40 years or so. Back before Elise was chief, anyway. It was a heck of a lot harder then. Weren't as many of us to go around, but I think it was a lot easier to tell the good guys from the bad. Well, there's what we're supposed to be doing and what we're actually doing. There's a big gap between those two things, about as wide as that lake out there. To protect against all forms of tyranny, as simple as that. 30, 40 years ago, the wasteland was full of despots. Slavers, raiders, tough-talking hoodlums with gangs who liked to kick around towns. Back then, the NCR military was still young. Couldn't cover much ground. It took groups like ours to tip the balance back to the good guys. Sitting on the shore of Lake Mead, looking east, listening to a radio, trying to not get too many people killed. I'm too old to be slapping leather, but I had hoped for something else. More than this, anyway. There's a lot of answers to that question, but it started with the Ranger Unification Treaty. We weren't always the only show in town. Nevada had its own posse, the Desert Rangers. They fought Caesar even farther east, out in Arizona. Years back, we met with the Desert Rangers at Mojave Outpost and agreed to help them against Caesar if they would join the NCR. Adios. You've come back to see the
Whoa!